The people who attend this luncheon are all people who have lost a child in any way and at any time. It occurred to me after we started Gilly's House, I was meeting so many moms who had lost a child, that people really needed to be able to connect with other people. And so we decided that this year's our 6th annual Moms Luncheon. And the people who all attend are all moms who have lost a child.
Hi, everybody. I always love to get up here and be the first to say, just about, good afternoon. And good afternoon to the most powerful women that I know. Good afternoon to the strength, love, and courage that you brought into this room today. Really, look around you. Every single one of you has faced a challenge that no one else should ever have to face. And since that day, you've had better days and worse days, and yet, you're here. You showed up, you laugh, you hold each other up, you carry grief and love all at once. That kind of strength isn't loud, but it's real and it's yours. And that's not just strength, that's power. So welcome to the annual Mom's Lunch, a gathering that's become a tradition of heart, healing, and connection. Whether this is your first time here or you've been with us before, you should know you're part of something sacred this afternoon. This lunch began over 5 years ago, thanks to Bracha and her crew, whose love and strength turned personal loss into a source of comfort to so many. Gilly's House was created in memory of her son, Stephen. And this lunch was born from her vision. And every single year I'm amazed because something that began from so much pain somehow turns an afternoon full of light, connection, laughter, and love. That's the magic of what you each bring into this room today. Bracha, thank you for beginning and continuing to lead with courage and compassion. I also want to acknowledge my wife, Rachi. She's been my partner in this craziness, we'll call it a journey, with her warmth and wisdom woven into everything that goes on at Chabad. And as she has catered the entire event today, yes, every bite you're going to eat came from her kitchen, and of course is, besides being ultra delicious, of course, is ultra kosher. And she does it all while running the entire Chabad house. You know, I look like the rabbi, but she actually, they say, I'm the one who wears the pants in my house, she's the one who tells me which ones to put on. And if you're wondering how she does it, you can rest assured that I'm wondering that too. This year, we're honored to have Rebetz and Vivi Darren with us, who together with her husband, Rabbi Yisrael Darren, have founded, but also led the expansion of Chabad in Connecticut and Western Massachusetts. Mrs. Darren is a pillar of strength and leadership in the entire Jewish world. And like you, she's a mother who has endured the unimaginable. Her presence here today is a gift to all of us. And I have to admit, and I told this to her herself, I'm both excited and a little nervous to be standing here and speaking in front of her, besides that she's always been a legend to me. Her son, Rabbi Yossi Darren, who's the shliach in Greenwich, Connecticut, went to yeshiva together with me. So standing here today feels a bit like standing in front of the principal's office, but with a lot more love and a lot less homework. I may have to skip a couple of paragraphs.
You can do it.
Maybe. Well, I've stood at this podium before. No, I can't. I don't know, maybe this might work. Chaim.
All of us moms have your back, don't you worry.
Thank you. I need that strength. This year carries a new layer for Rachi and myself, personally. I think I'm going to leave that for later. Let's see if I can do this. A few months ago, a daughter, Mushki, who's here today, and her husband, Rabbi Shmuley, gave birth to a beautiful baby boy who passed away just a few hours later. We call him Tzadikol, our little righteous one. You see, some souls are so pure, so complete, they don't need many years in this world down here. They come into the world, do exactly what they need to do, and they go back home. Tzadikol didn't need years to become righteous. He already was. His mission so pure, his presence so holy, leaving behind a light that never fades. So this year, I think I understand a little better what this gathering means. That mix of heartbreak and hope that somehow lives in the exact same space in our hearts. You know, there's a special Jewish prayer known as Kaddish. Many of you have heard of it, but for those who haven't, here's the Cliff Note version. Kaddish is a prayer that is said numerous times during each and every service that we do. However, it's also said by mourners. Typically, that happens when a child says it for their parent during the first year after passing, and then subsequently each year on the anniversary of the parent's passing. And so, it became mostly known as a mourner's prayer. Now, there's something very peculiar about this prayer. You'd think the Kaddish would talk all about the soul of the departed. It would talk about life and death. But if you look closely at the words of the Kaddish, you'll find not one word about the person who passed away. Not a single mention of the soul. Instead, the entire prayer's focus is on God. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shmei Rabba. May God's great name be exalted. Why? Why is there no mention of the departed? Why is there no mention of the soul? Why is there no mention of that person that we lost? Because sometimes there's absolutely nothing to say. No words can carry the weight of loss. So instead of trying to explain the unexplainable, Kaddish lifts us out just for that moment, beyond our pain, and connects us with the source of life. And in Jewish belief, that connection isn't just symbolic. We believe that when Mashiach comes, and we pray for that to happen right now, we will experience the resurrection of the dead, when all those who have passed on will be reunited with us. That means that every one of these beautiful children, our loved ones, will live again, not just in memory, not just in spirit, but in soul and body. That's not just comforting, it's empowering. So today, as you sit together, share stories, and hold space for one another, I invite you to join me, as I always do, with a toast of l'chaim. Let's all lift a glass, whatever you've got, a water, seltzer, coffee, or something stronger. As you know, I've got connections, so I have the real stuff. Let's say l'chaim to life, l'chaim to the lives we love and the souls that continue to love us, l'chaim to friendship, to healing, and to hope, l'chaim to the strength to cry and the courage to laugh, and l'chaim to that day that's not far off, when all tears will be wiped away, and we'll hold our children again, body and soul, the revelation of Mashiach. So let's all say, L'chaim, to life. Oftentimes, you'll hear somebody get up to introduce somebody, and they'll say, this next speaker needs no introduction. And then they go on for 45 minutes introducing them. You ever notice that? It's weird. They need no introduction, yet they do. So this next speaker really, really needs no introduction. Please welcome Bracha, a.k.a. Barbara, to say a few words.
I think you're going to see once the program gets rolling just how connected people are who come to this event. And last year I had a mom say to me, I waited all year for today. So I know that it works, and people just, it's great to be able to connect with somebody else who the circumstances might not be exact, but they're close. And it just means a lot to be able to talk to somebody else who's shared the same tragedy as you. Wow, what a great amount of energy in this room. I knew a few little raindrops were not going to hold back this strong and determined group of moms. I want to welcome everyone to the 6th Annual Moms Luncheon. With the attendance at this luncheon, we have had about 500 moms attend this event. When I created this event, it was my hope and mission that moms who shared a tragic experience of losing a child would be able to connect with others. And I know we have accomplished this. My son, Stephen, Gilly to his friends, loved to make people laugh and loved to connect with others. He was very generous. As a very social person, he loved staying in a sober house in Portland, Maine. Unfortunately, as with many young people, he did not give his recovery the time and attention that it needed. Stephen passed away October 24th, 2016, 9 years ago. It seems like yesterday, and it seems like an eternity. I needed to find a way to make something positive come from this horrific tragedy. He loved the camaraderie and the peer-to-peer the social house had to offer. So we followed his lead and created Gilly's House, something to bring meaning to his life and mine. So long story short, a dilapidated nursing home that had been vacant for 17 years before we purchased it, a building that is a mile from my house, a building I have had to pass by no matter what direction or where I'm going. A vacant building that Stephen stood in front of with his childhood friend and said, if we had all the money in the world, what would we do with this? To two 11-year-old boys, this 8,500 square foot building was a mansion. We opened Gilly's House, a nonprofit sober recovery house, on Stephen's birthday, May 7th, 2018. To date, we have had 270 men from 73 communities in Massachusetts and 5 other states stay at Gilly's. This house exists to honor my son. There are so many moms who have created organizations, foundations, nonprofits, and to do random acts of kindness to honor their children. A way to help others, Susan, whose daughter committed suicide at the age of 19, baked cakes for the men at Gilly's House for their birthday, for their sober anniversary. She not only baked the cakes, but she bought matching plates and napkins and bought balloons. It brought a purpose and joy to her life for the period of time she baked each cake and purchased the party favors. We have so many people who donate their time and talents to Gilly's House in memory of a loved one. It brings joy to people's hearts and the recipients who have had a hard time finding any joy. We all grieve differently. Our experiences and our paths are not all the same, but we share a common bond. My hope is that today you all find the strength to move even one step forward in your grief. Smile at someone at the supermarket. It may be their only smile of the day. Purchase some groceries for someone in need. Open the door for someone. You can start with a small step each day. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, the most important globally influential Jewish leader of our times, tells us, shine your light, is a call to action, to actively bring spiritual light into the world by combating darkness and negativity through good deeds and connecting with the divine. He emphasizes that the light is found within oneself and needs to be shared with others. When you leave today, I hope that you will feel empowered to grab your grief and move forward with your life. The ones we love are always in our hearts. We carry them with us every moment of our lives.
So Gilly's House Mother's Luncheon is every November. This is our 6th annual Mother's Luncheon here at Chabad Jewish Center in Milford. And when Gilly's House first opened, Barbara and I realized that not only were the residents and the people at Gilly's House struggling with addiction and recovery, but also the ones that had already lost their loved ones of addiction. And so we decided to have a mother's luncheon 6 years ago, the first one, for any mom that lost a child, regardless of the circumstances or the time passed. It did not have to be from addiction, because they're all in that club together that needs so much community, and they need a lot of hope, and they need a lot of healing. So we also let the residents know what we're doing. Like when we do go off site from Gilly's House, when we're not just ministering to the men there and their families, we let them know these other events that we're doing to help the community and really to help people be aware of the work we're doing too. So we're not having any more moms be part of this club that nobody wants to be part of.
I want to introduce Kathy Sullivan. A good friend, and always a great speaker at this event.
Give me some love.
Yes.
And a huge hugger. Yeah.
Oops. Love you too. Okay, let me go that way.
Yeah, okay, ready? So I've gained like 50 pounds this year, so I may look different than last year. Whatever, I cut my hair too, people, so just get used to change, because as a mom who has lost a child, you have to be used to change, whether you like it or not. I will also tell you that I didn't sleep last night because I was up writing this speech, and here it is. And once again, I'm going to throw it away because I never go by my notes. It's just not who I am as notes. I write them down because I want my thoughts to be heard. But then I learn something new every single day that I walk in the store. Where did Barbara go? Where are you? Okay, yeah, hello. You just said grab your grief. And that's actually part of what I talk about. Because I talk about how I live, breathe, and eat grief every single day. But I'm okay with that. Because you know what? I got it from this beautiful little thing here. That's my Taylor. You see, I'm a mom here of 3 kids. I have my oldest son who's 37. He has got his stuff together. He owns a house, he owns an oil company. Did he sponsor some of this? Yes, he always sponsors some of this. Maureen can get money from anybody. He is so together. He's got a wife, he's got 2 beautiful kids that are my grandkids. They call me Grams. And then I have my son Logan, and Logan's 27. And when I say Logan's a disaster, it's an understatement, and I'm sure a lot of you parents here in this room can feel that pain. He just moved back home from North Carolina. He had a DUI 2 years ago, and I'm hoping he's getting his life back together. Because every day I worried that I was going to lose another kid, as I'm sure some of you can feel here. But he is safe home. We flew down, we got him, and we brought him back with his 2 cats. Thank you very much. And he's living in Mansfield now, and I know where he is. Does not mean he's safe by any means, but I know where he is. And then I had my Taylor. She would be 34. I say she's 34 because it's been 17 years since I saw my kid. She was 17 years when I lost her. So I will tell you that this year it was really, really difficult to have that October 17th come. But I will also tell you that I am the same person that I was on October 16th, 2008, than I was after losing my kid. I am 99.9% Kathy Meyer, even though I have a new last name, Sullivan, because Taylor did handpick my husband for me after she passed. So, but I'm that same person that woke up that morning, Friday morning, and thought my life was fine. That 1%, it can derail you in 30 seconds without you knowing it's going to happen. Absolutely, you all have been there. But that 1% means I loved my kid. So if you have those percentages that get higher than the 1%, maybe you're just into this and you are just learning this journey and it's every day consumes you with the darkness. I'm here to tell you that I stand up here today, the most joyous human being you will ever meet. I wake up and I feel happiness, I feel joy, and it's who I am. And I've always said it's been a gift from God. I've known that since day one. I just know it. Because it was my biggest fear after losing my kid, that I wasn't going to be able to be that person. And so many of us in this room, we think, you know what? We can't feel joy again. We can't feel light. We can't feel happiness. How can we do that? Our kid's not here. Well, I can tell you that you can and you have to. You literally have to be able to keep moving every single day. You know, Barbara said to me a week ago, hey, Kath, you're going to speak again, and I need you to show them how you shine. And I'm like, how I shine? And she goes, yes, you are probably one of the shiniest people that I know. And it's true. I truly, truly, truly am probably one of the shiniest people that you will ever meet. But it came with a conscious decision, I say every single time I speak. It came with a conscious decision, I can barely say that, to choose to be happy. You know, we're okay to be sad as well. Some of the days the darkness is going to overcome. But on those days, you call one of these people in this room. These two tables, minus Miss Mary, who we just met today, and we are so bringing her into our group. She's stuck with us. I mean Debbie, not Mary. Mary, too. Mary's new, too. We get two newbies. These are my people. These are my people I call at 2 a.m. if I need to. Debbie, she's the best one at 2 a.m. She's always up. I got Kathy over there who just joined our group, but she had friends, so she sat with her friends, which I was like, who are your friends, people? And I gotta tell you, I was like, no, you're one of our people. You can't sit with friends. But that's what this is. You know, she had a friend who lost a son the same time that she lost her son. You're not alone, people, but you have to have conversations with people to know that you're not alone. If you don't have the conversations, you're going to be sitting in CVS, and you're never going to know the person in front of you has gone through the loss of a child. I seek out grief. I feel like it's a magnet for me. I go to CVS. I somehow know that person's lost a kid. I'm serious. It's the creepiest thing ever, right? You feel that too, right? I hear the word funeral, and I'm like, I'm sorry, who died? I want to know them. Yeah, swear to God, I'm odd. But you know what? I'm me. I could have easily downward spiraled 17 years ago and been a totally different person. And every single one of you in this room, you have that choice to be that sad, dark human being. But I'm going to tell you don't have to choose it. There is light everywhere you look, but you got to look. You got to have your eyes open, and you got to be able to talk to people. You got to be able to talk to people. You know, Deb, you came in with your girlfriend, who's actually, they're sitting separate, which I'm super impressed because it is their first time, both of them here. I felt your pain, and I felt like it was yesterday. And you said it's been 7 years since you lost Joss, right? Right. But that's okay, you know. It's okay to feel like that. You heard Barbara gasp when she said the date. You heard the rabbi talk about the grandchild, and I'm so sorry that happened to you. You know, but every single person that you walk into during the day, they have something. And if you're willing to open yourself up and be the light for somebody, it could make a difference. I made these, and I made them last minute, and they cost me a fortune, so don't you throw these away. Just saying it, yeah. Don't ever laminate at Staples on the rush hour, is what I'm telling you. Yeah, I almost had a heart attack. But I made these, and you know what's funny? We actually had a mom in our group, Maria told us about this word. And Debbie, where do you got it tattooed? She's got it on her back. She's that committed, okay? It says Vilma. And I had never heard this word before because you know what? We hope we never have to hear this word. We hope we never learn this word. But it's when a parent loses a child. And I made these bracelets as well because you know what? Some days we need a reminder that we are not alone. It says against a natural order. And that's as simply as explained as it can be. But you know, each and every one of us, we're standing in this room and we're Vilma. And it's a title that none of us would have chose. But unfortunately, you've all been chosen. Whether you like to think that or not, you've all been chosen. And it was at the cost of love. You loved your kid like I loved my kid. And that's why you've been chosen. And you need to know that you can be that voice that someone might need to hear. You know, Barbara gets me up here with this microphone every single year for 6 years now. And I never know what I'm going to say. Some of this is here, some of it's not. But your voice might be the person who needs to be heard that day. So please spread your voice. Please know you're going to be okay. And if you're not feeling it and you are in a very dark place, call your people. And these are my people. Same with Miss Kathy over there with her friends. We got our people. This is the first time we're meeting Kara here. This is the first time we're meeting her. She's on our Tuesday night Zoom meeting every Tuesday night, and we are blessed to hug her today. So know that your people are there. You are part of a group that will love you as you are. You don't have to fake it. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you listening. Thank you. And don't throw it away.
So we do host a lot of events for Jewish holidays and the Jewish community, but this event holds a very special place in my heart. It's literally a labor of love.
Okay, I'm sure everybody's getting hungry. We're almost there. So I just want to introduce the person who actually really makes all the details and everything happen. And most of you have probably spoken to her. You made your reservations with her. And honestly, I don't know how any of this could happen, and it couldn't happen without her. So I want to introduce Maureen Cappuccino. She's the administrative assistant at Gilly's house. We really didn't, I know a lot of people think we've known each other for life, but we really have only known each other since I opened Gilly's house. So a lot's gone on since then. But so anyway, Maureen's gonna give you the housekeeping, the details of what else we need to know about today. But I know she won't be long because she's the only thing between now and lunch.
Yes. Oh, and I can't wait. Yum, yum. So I just want to welcome all of you again to the 6th annual luncheon. I can't believe it's been 6 that we've been doing this, and we have some people that have been at every luncheon so far, and we have some really fresh new moms too that I want to welcome to you. How many new moms are here? Raise your hand. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Because, we know how difficult it can be just getting out of bed in the morning, so you made it. You made it here today, and we love you. So I just want to mention one person in the room that I've been asking to come for the last 6 years, and it wasn't her time, I guess. So, and I leave it at that. I don't. You guys get my emails, so you know that I love to email and I love to remind people and give people information, but I don't want to feel like a hound, especially in something like this. But this woman is very special to me, and she's 94 years old. Young, excuse me, I meant to say young. I shouldn't even say old, right? Because women don't like to talk about their age, but she's a very special person, and her name is Gladys Catlin. And Gladys, do you want to raise your hand, Gladys? She's over here. So Gladys is you're all special moms, and I know most of your stories, but Gladys is my neighbor, and I spend a lot of time with her. I love listening to her stories, but Gladys adopted 3 children from Germany when she was over there with her first husband. She had a few. And yeah. And then she went on to, she brought those kids home from Germany. And then when that wasn't enough, when they were older, she went to the Rentham State School and she picked 2 beautiful Down syndrome children from Rentham State School. And these children were told they wouldn't thrive, that they wouldn't live. And Mary lived into her 40s, correct? Adam just passed away not too long ago. He is my age. Was he 60 when he passed? 62 when he passed away. He was told he wouldn't thrive at all, and she kept him alive all those years because of the love that she gave. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming, Gladys, and we love that you're here and you finally made it. So about the age thing, nobody wants to talk about, women don't like to talk about their age, but you are gonna have to today because before I forget to tell you this happens every year, there's flowers on the table and the candle that's in the candle holder. So the person at the table, the youngest person gets to take home the candle at the time. So you have to figure this out. And the oldest can take home the flowers. So you guys can figure that out. Don't take home the glass that the candle's in, but so you guys are gonna have to talk about your age. Sorry.
Well, I've just learned about this organization, and I'm delighted to participate. I'm more delighted to really learn more about the organization. And speaking to Lisa, who picked me up, we do have some common threads because there are a lot of moms, I don't know how many, but there are some moms here that have lost family members and children to brain injury because of accidents, drug overdoses, etc. My daughter was injured in 1975, and she just passed away this past June. And she was on her way home with a group of teenagers from skiing up at Mount Snow, and the driver lost control of the car due to marijuana and beer. This was in 1975, and we all had our heads buried. I had no clue. And he lost control, and the van flipped over a bridge and landed on its roof. And her girlfriend was killed instantly, and Debbie was found in a coma, which she remained in for 5 months. So it was a very difficult time, as you can well imagine, because most people died. In the 70s and early 80s, people injured as seriously as Deb did not make it. But thanks to the Mass General, her life was saved, and that began a journey with no end. And by 1980, after traveling around the country, trying to find a silver bullet in a facility that knew how to work with young people with brain injury, I was very frustrated. So between frustration, guilt, anger, and just plain being miserable, my husband and I started the organization called the National Head Injury Foundation. And in the mid-1990s, the name was changed to the Brain Injury Foundation of America. And I'm still very involved, and we have chapters in most every state. And I'm still very involved with our Massachusetts chapter.
The weather today is, I think, very descriptive and indicative of the inner weather that many of us are feeling. It's a group of bereaved mothers, all different routes that led us to this place, but we're gathered together as a group of bereaved mothers. And sometimes it's very hard to see the light and even know that we have light. And the gray skies feels like our inner weather often. And the idea that we do have light, even if it's hidden, and that light can transform the world. I think many people don't realize that there is actually tremendous energy in grief.
Honestly, for me, this has been one of the most enriching and rewarding afternoons so far. Like, I could just sit down and just keep taking in everything that has been said this afternoon. So much to learn from. And I guess I think I thought at first, am I the only one who noticed the energy in this room when I walked in? It was amazing. Illness of many different kinds. Some people dealt with a very sudden, tragic, what we call an accident. I think among the blessings of the time that we're living in is that we're the beneficiaries of a lot more understanding. A lot more understanding of what happens inside. And as that understanding as we take hold of it, we are able to have more compassion, more softness, more willingness to learn, more willingness to think about what are the things that we can do with this understanding that previous generations weren't able to. Where 50 years ago, leukemia was literally a death sentence for a child, and now, thank God, there are all of the different cures that a child can literally go on to have a very happy, fulfilled, healthy, productive life. And that's physical things. But all of the illness that surrounds all the different types, whether it's addictions, substance abuse, emotional, psychological illness that claims lives, and that's all part of the same thing. The more we can have compassion, the more we can be willing to learn and to grow, the sooner we will be able to come to solutions of healing and health. Where does that start? You know, there's a bumper sticker, think globally, act locally. We have big pictures of what we want the world to look like. What about our families? What about our neighborhood? What about the people that we're with at work? Where does that all start? It starts with being able to have compassion for ourselves, being able to say, yes, this hurts. But like there's that cartoon, not cartoon, I don't know, an illustration of a little child hunched over sitting on a curb. I know I must be something because God don't make no junk. And sometimes that's a very big struggle for mothers in our position. And it's really easy for us to beat up on ourselves and twist ourselves into any shape of pretzel that we can just to prove that everything is my fault. No. It's not an easy lesson for lots of mothers. So then what? Something y'all don't know about me is that I was born in Nashville, Tennessee. My father was the rabbi of the city. I was born there. My brothers and sisters, we were all born and raised in Nashville. And we were the rabbi's kids. And I want to tell you what it was like to be the rabbi's kids. First of all, we were living in a fishbowl. Everybody watched everything we did all the time. And everybody was absolutely sure that we sat around and we talked about God all the time. in very quiet voices in Hebrew. No pressure. No pressure. All my life, I've heard people saying things like, it's easy for you. You grew up with it. Why did I find that so frustrating? Yeah, you know, there are some things that are easier for some of us than others. Is it Kathy? You pointed out before about being blessed with a joyous, cheerful, happy nature. Yeah, and some of us do come into this world wired that way. But one way or another, we all have to make the choice to make it work. So I may have certain advantages in knowing about certain things about and that I saw and that I grew up with, but don't ever think that I didn't grow up that way, so I can't. It's just not true. None of us grew up recycling, and we all know how to do it. We all know how to do it. We all learned how to do it, and we learned why it's important, and we learned why this is not a good idea, and that is whatever. They'll go on and on with that. We learn new things. We're smart people. We are given a brain to work, and we work best when we learn new things. And we should never, somehow or other, we do that in so many areas of life, but when it comes to understanding what does it mean to live, specifically, I'm coming from where I'm coming from as a Jewish person, to live with Judaism, and in the broader sense, to live, what does it mean to have a God consciousness? Now, the word God, it's interesting because in different languages, in different cultures, in different religions, it has a lot of different emotional baggage. So I'm going to talk about what I'm familiar with. And the idea that, you know, let your light shine, you know why we're wired for light? Because that first quote from the Bible of let there be light, that is associated with goodness and kindness, and we gravitate to that because God put a little bit of God inside each one of us. That's the light that we have. And it is hidden in so many ways. A little boy that my father was teaching many, many years ago in the school that he started in Nashville, he was asking him about this, you know, where is God? Where can I find God? And so my father was talking about this idea that, you know, God put a little bit of God into you. So he's thinking, and he says, so you mean, like every time if I do something that God wants me to do, then it's like I'm digging away the dirt that might be covering it up. The child was 6. And if I do something that I'm not supposed to do, I'm burying that light. I'm covering it up. Not bad for a 6-year-old. When we have that idea, we don't have to drive ourselves nuts. If God is good, how could God let all of these horrible things happen? And the answer is not just to say, well, people let them happen. Ultimately, it's going to fall on his lap. Not that there's not an answer, there are. But we don't have access to the data. That God has a plan and that everything fits into the plan, that's a belief. We do not have the data to explain it, and therefore we're wasting our energy if we try. It's actually, you could even say almost an obscenity for a human being to try to explain what is behind horrible, unspeakable tragedy. But what we can do is learn from it. What we can do is utilize the lessons that it teaches us. What we can do is see, what do I do to take the little shovel that I have and dig away the dirt? What can I do to make that light shine? I can't explain why the mess is a mess. One day, we'll be given the answers. Right now, it just doesn't matter. Right now, the only question, in Hebrew, there's the word for why is lama. But if you change, that means why. If you change the voweling, it reads lima, for what? The question why, we don't have access to the answer. The question for what, oh, do we have access? So I want to tell you a little bit about some of my children and the way that they continue to light up our lives. And I feel sometimes by sharing them that that light spreads in the world. 4 of our children, God blessed us with 8 children, 4 of whom are, thank God, living, married. One of them is already a grandfather. So we have great-grands, thank God. And 1 in Connecticut, 1 right here in Massachusetts, 1 in Cape Town, and 1 in Melbourne, Australia. And that's those 4. They should live and be well with their spouses and their children and grandchildren, always. And then there were 4 who were born with a Jewish genetic condition. It's not a disease, it's a syndrome, a collection of symptoms. And those symptoms, one of those symptoms is a high rate of malignancy. So malignancy, cancers. So 3 of these 4 developed malignancies and ultimately passed away from them. And the 4th one did not, but she had another characteristic of this syndrome. The name of it is Bloom's. She had upper respiratory challenges almost from birth. And ultimately, she had a lung transplant, and complications set in, and she passed away. So there, that's all out. The first one to be diagnosed actually lived the longest. He was our son, Mendel, and he passed away in 2010 at the age of 36. Mendel said something which I just have to say, I thought I knew my kids. My husband and I both did. We thought we knew them. I mean, we were very connected parents and pretty conscientious. And Mendel, we knew, was very driven. He was very active. He was very passionate about things. We had no idea until the Shiva, after he passed away, how many lives he touched. And we continue to hear from people. The first one came in literally the first night of Shiva. Mendel saved my life. And we hear this theme again and again and again. And one of our other sons told us that he had one time shared something with his brothers. Mendel was given a blessing by the Rebbe when we didn't know what he had. It was not a known condition in the world. And he was actually the 88th person to be diagnosed with this syndrome. And he was about a year old. All I knew was that he was very small. My first child was 8 pounds, 5 ounces. I thought, okay, I have big babies. The second one was Mendel, and he was 4 pounds, 4 ounces. And I was hysterical in the delivery room. I didn't take my vitamins. And the doctor was like, I don't know what's going on, but it's not about your vitamins. But he just wasn't gaining. He wasn't gaining. And I had written to the Rebbe asking for a blessing for him. And the blessing that the Rebbe gave us, was something that said at the bris, at the circumcision ceremony, Zeh hakatan gadol yihiyeh. This small one will be big. So we didn't see that blessing fulfilled in the physical sense of physical stature. He did live longer than typically expected for Blooms. He was 36 years old. but we could never have anticipated what a giant of a human being he became. And like I said, we still hear stories. So what did he tell his brothers? Because he knew about this blessing that I had gotten in response. He said, every day I look in the mirror and I tell myself, you have a bracha, you have a blessing. Now go out and make it happen. A blessing is like rain. When rain falls on the ground, what happens? If you have cultivated the soil, if you have planted, if you take care, if you do work, then things grow and they blossom. And you have flowers and you have fruit and you have a rich crop. And if you do nothing and the rain falls, what do you have? Mud. So I think maybe you can sum it up a little bit in what is your posture? He did not sit with hands folded, waiting, well, where's the blessing? I have a blessing, where's the blessing? He took an activist pose. Looking in the mirror, he said, every single day. And he didn't have an easy time. What am I doing to make the bracha happen? And I think if we can look at our lives and see where are the opportunities, because here's, for me, a very big motivation. When I make good things happen in the world, it's a way not only of being connected to my child, it's a way of my child being an active presence in the world. In Hebrew, we don't say in memory, I'm thinking back about what was. We say the expression that's used for the elevation of the soul. It's a dynamic. It's a dynamic. The soul always lives. It lives before it comes into this world, it lives in the body, and it lives after. When I get stuck in the fact that the soul left, what am I doing with the dynamic? What's happening with this soul? When I keep good things happening because I'm motivated to be connected, to make my child proud, to keep them as a living force in the world, when I have that in my power, my child can't. Physically, when they're not here physically, they can't change the world. And the Jewish idea of heaven is not what's up there. Yeah, it's there, it's fine. The real heaven is when heaven is brought down to earth. When we change this world into the world that it is meant to be. And we all have that picture. We're happy, healthy, wholesome, loving, whole families, whole individuals. That's heaven. That's heaven on earth. And that's what we're working for. So our daughter, Blummy was, this is what I say is a part of our story that's like bad fiction. I couldn't sell it to an editor because they would say, no, it just doesn't happen like that. Shlomi, our youngest, was the first one to be diagnosed. He was not yet 4. And he had a pediatric kidney tumor. They took it out. He had a relapse. He had 2 years that were, for the most part, actually very good years. Not a lot of pain. And he eventually developed myelodysplastic syndrome. Whatever, the only thing that could be done was a bone marrow transplant, which basically failed. And his last week was a very rough week. And he passed away in December of '97. He was 6. But our 15-year-old at the time, when she was 15 and a half, and this is the part that's like, it just doesn't happen like that, but it did. She was diagnosed with liver cancer when she was 15 and a half and passed away 6 months later, 2 weeks before Shlomi's first yahrzeit, the first anniversary of his passing. So it was like we were on a different plane of existence. And my focus at that time was, I have a family of children. This house has to be a happy place. We will not have this house become gloomy. And I couldn't make promises. It's not in my power. But I could take the words of the prophets, because it's not my promise. And I found one verse that's popularized as a very beloved tune in Chabad, where the prophet says, I will pour a blessing down on you. Varikoti lachem bracha. I will pour a blessing down on you, ad bli dai, without end. And the continuation of the commentary there is, ad sheyivlu siftotechem milomar dai. Until your lips will be tired of saying enough. God is promising, I'm going to give you so much blessing without end until your lips are tired of saying enough, enough. And we would sing the song that became our family anthem, and we would talk about, well, what has to happen before we say, okay, God, that's enough, we have enough blessing. Everybody has to get better, and we have to get rid of all the medical equipment in the house, et cetera, et cetera. But the idea, what happened with that song was a catalyst for us, that we were able to lift ourselves up. Yes, I had difficult moments. I still do. Of course, that's part of being human. And be able to recognize, yeah, this is part of my journey. And how do I take the energy of that sadness and use it? So I'll tell you a story with Bloomy. Bloomy had the only one of our children that had bright red hair, which we loved. But when she was born in 1981, at that time, redheads were still being teased a lot. And I wanted to make sure from when she was very little that she wouldn't feel like, awkward about her hair. So we just had this thing in the house. Bloomy, if you went to a beauty parlor to get this color hair, you know what you would have to pay? Don't ask me where I came up with this number, but it was $500 a month. And my kids all knew, and we had a guest at our Shabbos table. We had a guest at our Shabbos table once who said, Bloomy, I love your red hair. You know what you would have to pay at the beauty parlor? And all of the kids around the table chorused, $500 a month. And the guest was like, what just happened? What was this? So when she was diagnosed and she started to lose her hair, how we dealt with this was 6 months after her little brother had passed away, but that's a whole nother story. But her hair started to come out, and we were on actually we were coming back from a Shabbat retreat for bereaved families run by an organization called Chai Lifeline, which was a fabulous experience, difficult but fabulous. We were on our way home, and she put her hand into her hair, and a clump came out. And she started to cry, and my husband pulled off the side of the road. There was a beautiful scenic area overlooking the Delaware River, gorgeous. And just another side thing, we didn't have to always have I'm the strong one, and we took turns. And nobody has to be locked into this one's strong, that one's strong, a weaker day, a stronger day, whatever. So that was a day that I said to my husband after he parked the car. I thought it was very, good advice. I said, do something. So I got out of the car with the other kids to give them space. My husband got into the back seat, and he put his arm around her, and he was holding her. And he said, Bloomy, I read a letter from the Rebbe to a family who had suffered a loss. And the Rebbe was talking about the connection that never breaks. I'm not quoting right now, but just this idea, you will always be the mother of your child. You will always be their mother. Our children need us in different ways when they're 2 years old or newborns or out of college or they're grandparents themselves. And this is a different stage, but they need us. A child always needs a parent. Our children always need us. Different ways. But what he said to us, that the Rebbe said to this, in this letter, that the souls always stay connected. And the soul that has passed on sees what's happening in this world and is happy with their happiness and sad with their sadness. So he said to her, Blumi, imagine Shlomi is sitting, he was, like I said, 6. Imagine him sitting on the roof of the car, which he liked to do, swinging his legs in and out of the window. Imagine him sitting here right now, and he's saying to you, Blumi, don't be sad, be happy. Because when you're happy, I'm happy. And if you're sad, I'm sad. And he said it was like turning off a faucet. She stopped crying. Not long afterwards, we were in a mall, and she saw somebody with one of those, remember Kathy, the cartoon character, Kathy? A sweatshirt saying, I'm having a bad hair day. And she said, I should get one of those. I'm having a no hair day. She had her challenges. I'm not saying it was a magic wand, but she internalized that idea in such a strong and beautiful way. And I think I should close. I have 2 things that I want to share first. One is that we not lock ourselves into, I can't because I didn't, I can't, I'm not that type, I can't, it's not my personality, I can't because I never did, I can't because I don't know. We have incredible capacity to grow. And if any of you have followed the stories of the former hostages who were finally set free, some of them after 2 years in brutal, brutal conditions. An Israeli journalist, a woman, wrote, she said, we hear the stories of what they endured and how they triumphed over their circumstances in Gaza, in those tunnels, in subhuman conditions, starving. We don't just find out who they are, it also teaches us something about ourselves and the capacity that we have. And there was one guy that I was listening to just last week, and he said, before I went into Gaza, before I was taken into Gaza, he said, I never thought about God. And if I did, I would have described myself as an atheist. No relevance to my life, I wasn't interested, I had no connection. And then I'm there. So the first place that they took me to, there was a crack in the wall. Now, don't ask me to explain this part because I can't. But he said, I was talking to the crack in the wall. And then they took us someplace else, and there was a blue LED light. And I was talking to the blue LED light. And then they took us deeper into the tunnels, and there was no light at all. And that's when I started talking to God. That's transforming darkness into light. That the most horrible, debilitating experiences, and he said himself, he said, it's the kind of place, who thinks of discovering God there? If somebody came in there with a belief in God, that could just wipe the whole thing out in one fell swoop. He said, but it didn't work that way for me. I started talking to God. One of the first hostages to be released was a young woman by the name of Agam Berger. And on the helicopter with her parents coming home, they have these big headphones on, so they had to write on, like they had whiteboards. And she wrote on her board, on a path of faith I chose, on a path of faith I came back. Did not grow up with a whole bunch of, education and experience. Didn't. Somehow in Gaza, she lit Shabbos candles without a candle, without a match, but she went through the motions of lighting Shabbat candles. Spiritually, I'm sure they were very powerful. Her mother, at the same time, was doing the same thing at home. Not something she had done before. But when you start digging for the light and you understand that every good deed, every mitzvah, every commandment, every act of kindness, every act of goodness that you share in the world is not random, and nothing is lost. And it shows us something about ourselves. And the last thing that I want to tell you is about the necklace that I'm wearing. The necklace itself was a gift from my husband. It's some kind of black crystal, which I'm not quite sure how to explain that. But if you can see, I'm holding it's a ring. It belonged to our daughter, Rivki. Rivki was the one who had the lung transplant, and she passed away. It'll be 10 years in May 2016. Rivki had an email signature. Rivki was 29 when she passed away. After her lung transplant, did I tell you that she got married? No. Yeah, she did. She had met this guy long before she was oxygen dependent, with the concentrator and all that. And so they got to know each other when she was relatively healthy. Her definition of relatively, most people would not call that healthy, but she, very adventurous. She wanted to see the world. She had an agenda of things that she wanted to do. She was a force to be reckoned with. And there are videos of her on YouTube. If you Google Rivki Darren or Rivki Darren Berman, you can find them. My son, who lives in Cape Town, was recently coming back from Israel, changing planes in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and a woman online for the plane said to him, "Are you Rabbi Darren?" And he's, "Yeah." Said, "Rivki's your sister?" He's like, "Yes." "Well, she saved my life." How did she save it? She said, "I never met her, but I was seriously suicidal. I had given up on everything, and I saw her YouTube video in which she is describing, I have an incredible life." Now, Rivki was not mushy. She was not one of those Pollyanna, la-da-da-da-da. She could be quite, shall we say, acerbic in her wit. Very kind, very compassionate, a doer, always on the go. But she's describing, she said, one of my own sisters-in-law asked me if I would want to have a child like me. Now, you know what that's saying? That's saying that my life isn't worth very much. She said, I have an incredible life. Now, you can see in the video how unhealthy she was at the time. But she didn't see herself that way. I have an incredible life. She and Mendel exchanged information with each other. I didn't know what she knew and what she didn't, and I didn't bring it up because I had no answers to give her. But I heard on a video that she made, the life expectancy for blooms is 29 on average. And she was 29 when she passed away. But she was this. So here's her ring. It's very small because it fit on her finger. I can't even get it on my pinky. But she had her email signature translated into Hebrew and engraved on the ring. And the Hebrew is בסופו של דבר הכל מסתדר, אם זה לא בסדר, זה לא הסוף. Everything ends up okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. When Rivki passed away, one of my nieces put on our family chat, we all know Rivki's saying, guys, this is not okay. This is not the end. And that we each take the resolve that what am I doing to make this world the place it's meant to be, transforming the darkness into light. Let your light shine.
I'm an educator. I'm a Jewish educator. My husband and I are both, we were sent to New England over 50 years ago by the Lubavitcher Rebbe as his emissaries. And the mandate that we were given actually before that, when we were first married, was you will make things warm and bright for others, and God will make things warm and bright for you. And in each community that we've been in, my husband is a regional director, Western Massachusetts, most of Connecticut. Sometimes it's been founding schools, directing schools, Jewish centers, centers for living, seeing what is needed in each community that we come to. We were blessed with 8 children. 4 of those children were born with a Jewish Ashkenazic syndrome, which in itself is not a disease, but unfortunately there's a very high rate of malignancy, which 3 of our children developed, and the 4th one had another characteristic, which is upper respiratory challenges. She had a lung transplant. So after over a period of probably about 15 years, those 4 children, we lost them. I don't like that word because I feel like we still have them, but they are no longer living.